Hello, everyone. I'm Jamie with SportsThreads.com. We're here with episode number 1 of Salt and Pepper, and don't forget the sugar. Tonight, we got 2 topics we're going to discuss. Topic number 1 is, obviously the talk of Southern Ohio right now is, Joe Burrow being drafted number 1, overall, going to the Cincinnati Bengals, the hometown team. With a franchise that's, had a lot more downs than they've had ups. So we're going to discuss, what our thoughts are, and what the Bengals need to do to make him successful. And then obviously we got a Browns guy down at the bottom of the screen that, is going to throw in the negative perspective, I'm sure. And then number 2, with COVID-19 going on and college football season being up in the air, and the Minnesota football coach bringing up the possibility of the Power 5 conferences eventually, kicking the NCAA to the curb. So we're going to get into that. We're going to be on here for about 30 minutes. Hope you enjoy everything. Comment, tell us what you like, what you don't like. Obviously, this is going to be a reoccurring thing. It's 3 guys like to have fun. Also, before we get into anything, you guys noticed the Vietnam sign I got hanging in the back. Today's my dad's birthday. We lost him a couple months ago. So tonight, in his honor, I'm going to wear his old Bengal hat, David Fulcher autograph. This hat's from like 1978, the year I was born. So getting into this, obviously, I'm Jamie Lambert from Point Pleasant. We got Craig Robinson from Point Pleasant, Ryan Milliken from Wellston. Obviously, Craig, what's your next? What part of you are you on this?
I am the pepper.
And Ryan is the.
Well, I'm a little pissed off I'm the sugar because I want to be the pepper. I don't know why I couldn't be the pepper. Why does he get to be pepper?
Hey, you get pepper next time.
Is this culturally biased?
We'll start drawing straws for it before each episode. How's that? Does that make you feel any better?
Well, I'm just going to take what I can get.
All right, that's how we do. We'll draw straws.
So to get into the Burrow topic, obviously looking at my head, which is a big one, and looking at the guy on the bottom of the screen that's a Browns fan, which is a rival. We're going to start off with Pepper. Burrow going to Cincinnati was obviously a no-brainer as far as the number 1 pick. There was a lot of things in the media going on about the Bengals franchise, as far as the ownership and what they, what they have done in the past with, as far as spending money and trying to actually build a winner. Craig, what was your initial thoughts when you seen that Burrow went to Cincinnati?
Well, like you said, I thought it was a no-brainer, man. From everything I've seen on the kid, he just seems like just a stand-up dude. If I was an owner of a NFL team, that's the kind of quarterback you want as the face of your franchise for sure. And with the ridiculous numbers that he has put up this last season is just ridiculous. Like you said, it was a no-brainer. My only concern was, him going to Cincinnati and with the departure of Andy Dalton, he's more than likely going to probably be the starter, and he'll be thrown to the wolves. And I'd hate to see him get abused, almost like a RG3 type situation. I know he's not the run threat like RG3 was, but it's my main concern would be like the punishment he would go through in his first year. Not only having to learn the new system and, all the things that come with being a new quarterback in the NFL, but not only that, but taking the punishment too.
Now we're actually just traveling about 30 minutes north to Wellston, but obviously looking at the left side of of that mug, you see the Cleveland Browns. So you're actually traveling about 4.5 hours north, to Cleveland for Sugar's response.
Man. Well, hold on. I'm an Ohio guy. I have nothing against the Bengals except for 2 games out of the year. For one, my dad would kick my ass if I tried to pick the Steelers or the Ravens over the Bengals. But yes, Browns, here we go. Burrow, seen him play, I'm going to guess maybe a dozen games anyhow in high school. Watched him play right here in Denton County. Wow. Tremendous talent. As Craig said, the numbers he put up last year they're unheard of. But also, like he said, Andy Dalton leaves, so it's a no-brainer who your starting quarterback's going to be. Is it too soon? I mean, good Lord, if any NFL team has burned up great quarterbacks, it's this team right here. And that's exactly what we done. Because, I think Baker Mayfield is going to be great, but he could have used a couple seasons setting. They had no choice. So I'm going to go with Craig on this, and it was RG3 that gave Baker Mayfield So it's not a great. It's a great move for the franchise, but it is not going to be good for Joe Burrow in his first year. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, and I eat my words. But it's going to be a long year for that old boy.
Well, all the way back to the beginning of last college football season, when he transferred to LSU the first year, my oldest son Connor became a tremendous LSU fan just for the fact that LSU, Joe Burrow went there, and and Craig, obviously he's you guys have talked 10 kinds of trash, being an Auburn fan.
Yeah,
so,
I had to hear it from Connor.
So when he came back and was projected 6th, 7th round pick at the start of his senior season, we were bull crapping around, and the boys was like, the Bengals are going to get Burrow, and I was like, listen, the Bengals aren't going to be very good this year, and Burrow's not going to be a top pick. I said it's not going to happen, and everything seemed to fall in place. And I hate to use the example because this is a very big example, so I hate to use it because I don't want tremendous expectations, and I don't want anyone to say that I'm saying that the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl in the next 5 or 6 years. But everything fell in place for the Cavs when LeBron, went number 1. And sometimes things just happen, for reasons that, and then when you look back on them, Dalton, I get what you guys are saying about Dalton being a mentor to Burrow, but a $17 million cap hit when they're trying to sign free agents and prove, Stephen A. wrong, and prove, Max Kellerman wrong, and prove all these other guys wrong that are giving them shit for the last, 4 months about being a shitty franchise. Burrow's got a lot of weight on his shoulders. I'm not gonna lie, and he's gonna have a lot more weight of defensive linemen on his ass too, because the Bengals offensive line's not ready. But hopefully long term this works out, because I did say from day one when it looked like Burrow was going to be the number 1 draft pick. But one of the biggest Bengal fans in the area, been one since I was born, and it was the old man's fault. And that's what I always told him. I said you could have picked me a better team to root for, but but also the Joe Burrow story, being a local guy, that you want to see do well. So I was kind of torn for a little bit, to be honest with you, about, Bengals take Chase Young and let Burrow go somewhere and be successful. You got go ahead, Craig or Ryan.
I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, everybody wants to see the kid succeed, man. I know whenever I was sitting there watching his Heisman speech, that brought a tear to my eye. You know what I mean? That I think in that one speech, he showed how sincere and how like a genuine kid he was. And, his heart's in the right place. He wants to win. You know what I mean? So, of course, you want to see him succeed. And then, I mean, if I'm that guy, if I'm the Bengals sitting at number one, yeah, I've got to take him. I mean, there's no way around it. I can probably willing to bet $1,000 they probably got about half a dozen calls from different teams trying to trade them out of that spot.
Sure.
I mean, that's a jackpot move right there. But yeah, you can't help but to think what he would do behind, with a team that actually has an experienced offensive line.
The Patriots, the Cowboys.
Oh my gosh, yeah, like he would have that protection. He would just tear them apart because he's deadly accurate. Yeah. But yeah, the offensive line play they had there at Cincinnati, it's not ideal for him. But I mean, this kid, he's willing to put the work in. I bet he's going to be successful. It's not going to be probably year one or year two, but give him some time for sure.
And back to the LeBron comment. I get that to an extent. Here's the wrinkle I'm going to throw into there, because LeBron comes, he's got to carry 4 people. Well, Burrow comes, he's got to carry 21. That's the problem. I think it's a big stepping stone for the Bengals, because that's where it all starts. But, man, they got to be willing to spend a lot of money to get that boy some help. And I hope he does well. I hope he wins 10 Super Bowls. I truly do.
If he wins 10 Super Bowls, I will wear that Browns jersey to a Browns game against Pittsburgh, and we'll go.
And kiss my bare ass out in the parking lot, right?
No, they got to win more than 10 to do that.
Okay. 50-yard line.
but I mean, I get your point with that, and you're right. Everything changed in Cleveland when LeBron showed up, and I completely agree with that. But man, one person changing the team on, in basketball, totally different than football. And it's even the same way in baseball. I mean, Bryce Harper. I mean, my goodness, we signed this blah blah. What did he? I mean, that was supposed to be such a big sign. I mean, flop.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the one thing, I don't know if you guys were able to see today, but there was a video floating around today with BarstoolSports.com, which is I'll throw them a little plug. It's a great. I enjoy watching it. They got like over 4 million viewers, and kind of why we're here right now, because I've watched that and I kind of enjoy watching it. I'm like, how I want to do that. But there was an interview with Burrow, and there was a YouTube video floating around today talking about him living in his mom and dad's home, obviously because of the COVID-19 stuff that he's kind of stuck there right now, but made the comment that, he's still sleeping in the bed that he did upgrade the bed when he was in high school, but he still got, his bed. He's got a couple of Star Wars posters hanging on the wall, and Star Wars curtains. But it was pretty comical to hear Joe talk about it earlier. But I think the biggest thing about Burrow, and then we'll move on after you guys respond to this. But I think the biggest thing about Burrow that I think can make a difference in Cincinnati isn't his accuracy, isn't his toughness, isn't his ability to read plays and read defenses. But I think he has a personality about himself that going to a place like Cincinnati, which isn't the best franchise in the world to go to, obviously, but he doesn't care. He is, if you want to use the word cocky or arrogant or confident, whatever word you want to use, but he is arrogant enough in his own mind about his own ability and his own leadership ability to make people better. And he thinks, he thinks he can whip the world right now after what he did at LSU. Go ahead, Craig.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got that kind of personality where he can definitely go into Cincinnati and be a culture changer there. You know, he can change the whole culture there. And I mean, you've seen it happen at LSU. He went down there, and I mean, his wide receivers were, middle of the pack, and as far as being ranked in the SEC. And then the very next year, they put in the work in the off season, and the next year they're the best wide receivers in the country. I mean, we've all seen the draft and how many of them went.
Right.
So I mean, he's definitely can change the culture there in Cincinnati for the better.
I think his confidence, that is a huge tool, but I also think his work ethic. Because, I mean, you hear him talk, but he works harder. Bet your ass he's already working, he's already learning the offense now. There's no doubt about it. I think those are going to be two big things. And like I said, I hope he does amazing things. I'm worried about the first year, maybe even the first 2 years. But I hope that he shuts me up. And for one, I've never owned a Bengals jersey in my life, and I'm going to own a Joe Burrow jersey.
Well, I did tell you the other night when we were running our trial on this that leave the door unlocked because I was going to put some stripes on that blanket, but I haven't had time to make it up there yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But hey, here's what I'd like to do. We've got a little over 10 minutes left. I figured the Burrow topic would go a little longer, and we got plenty of time to get into the Power 5 and NCAA, because I think there's going to be some more stuff that flies off of that will give us a little more stuff to talk about instead of insinuating things that don't happen. So I'm going to completely throw a curveball on you, and since we talked about Dalton, who is I had absolutely, as a Bengal fan, no problem with Dalton. I never hated Dalton. He did great things in the community as far as fundraisers go, and him and his wife. He was 0-4 in the playoffs, or 0-5 or 0-4 in the playoffs. McCarron got one of the losses, but one of the losses obviously was winning the bank with Pittsburgh when Burfict, decided he wanted to pull a WWE move on Brown. But I honestly believe when I seen that Dalton got wanted to release, Cincinnati did him right by doing what he asked. When I seen that he signed at Dallas, and Dak, who is a good quarterback, I'm not taking anything away from him. Dalton's a good quarterback in the right situation. I guess I guess for you two, number one is Dak is wanting to be paid like a superstar, and yes, the dude needs paid. I'm not saying that at all. He made $2.1 million last year. Yes, he needs paid. But question number one, and then I'll get to you once I give you both questions. But questions number one, is that good enough to make $30 million a year?
Oh, I can't wait for this one. Oh,
and number two, and I'll tell you why I went to this is, and I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts. I mean, I listen to these guys on ESPN, occasionally in the mornings when they get on this, and Stephen A. is all over the Cowboys, obviously. But, he keeps comparing him to Tony Romo like it is, and, that like it's the way I'm taking it is it's like, okay, hey, we got Dak, we got a black quarterback. But Jerry Jones paid Tony Romo, who was a white quarterback. And that's the way I took listening to Stephen A. the last week or so on this. If my thought, and here's question number 2, is Andy Dalton starts for the Dallas Cowboys with Zeke, with Amari Cooper, with CeeDee Lamb, compared to if Dak starts for them, how much difference is there? That's question number 2. Go ahead, Craig.
Well, man, that's a tough one. For one, for one, you asked if Dak was worth the money. I think he does need a payday, but I'm not sure if he needs to be paid as much as like the top 5 in the league. I mean, he still has things that have yet to been proven. You know what I mean? He's got to get deep into the playoffs. But I do agree he does need to get paid, but I don't think he's worth that much money. And as far as Andy going over there, I mean, I feel like Dallas, they made a pretty big statement there just signing Andy while Dak is looking to get paid. I mean, it's, the writing's on the wall right there. And 2, as far as Andy behind that offensive line and with the toys he has to play with now, they could be dangerous, very dangerous in the NFC East for sure.
Without a doubt, if I was Dallas, Dak would be gone. I'd let somebody else pay him. I like Andy Dalton. I really do. I think that was huge for Dallas. I mean, monstrous, because behind that offensive line, with Zeke in the backfield, I mean, you ain't got to get out to Amari and them. I mean, with that line, Andy Dalton, he's going to throw all over the field. I mean, he's going to be dangerous with Dallas. I think then you're talking about Andy Dalton putting up top 5 numbers this year. I truly do. Dak Prescott should not have a job. I do not think Dak Prescott will make it the full season as their starting quarterback. No way.
Now, by saying that,
yep.
Just to be clear,
mm-hmm.
we're not talking injury. We're talking straight up.
He gets
Dalton's
benched.
the guy.
He gets benched. Andy Dalton will be Dallas Cowboys quarterback at some point this season.
I made the comment when I seen it on Facebook that Connor's sitting here beside me. What did I say? Week 4, week 5, so something like that. I made the exact same comment because Dak is, when we was talking about Burrow, and I think we all agreed with one thing when it come to that is Burrow has that leadership mentality that he can take over a locker room. Mm-hmm. Not saying Andy Dalton has what Joe Burrow has, because I don't think he does from that perspective. But Andy Dalton's a leader. I mean, he gets guys to play behind him. Right. I think Dak is, more, and I think Tony Romo, I think him and Dak kind of at Dallas kind of playing the same role, is that they're there kind of having a good time. And I think Dalton's got enough experience behind him. And now he's playing for $3 million a year guaranteed. So you put the football in that cat's hands, I mean, he's going to try to prove something. Mm-hmm. Whereas Dak thinks, going 8-8 and missing out on the playoffs, thinks he deserves to be paid like Russell Wilson. Like I said earlier, when I brought the topic up, and like Craig said, I agree Dak needs paid, but Dak doesn't need paid like Russell Wilson. Do something.
I mean, Dak, he did throw for like almost 5,000 yards. And I think, let me look here. 11 interceptions. last season. So, I mean, he's got good numbers. His QBR is like 70 something. So, I mean, he does. I agree he needs to get paid, but I just don't see the Russell Wilson numbers that he wants. And,
let me ask you this and just be point blank about it. And you'll both have a chance to respond. You got 80 yards to go, 2.5 minutes left with what you guys know the Cowboys have. To win a game late in the season. Would you, if you were a Cowboy fan, would you rather have Dak at your quarterback position, or would you rather have Andy Dalton with the weapons you have, with what you know of Andy Dalton so far?
Andy Dalton.
100. Andy.
And I figured that was going to be your answer, and that's kind of the leadership. But when you have as much as Dallas has, you don't have to be you don't have to have all the attributes of a dual threat quarterback, and you just have to be. You just have to lead the team,
manage the game.
And Joe Flacco, perfect example. Who was the other Ravens quarterback? Dilfer, who won a Super Bowl. Yeah, Dalton can be that guy. Not in Cincinnati, because they have way too much going on. And again, I will reiterate, I am not an Andy Dalton hater. I never have been. But he, I wanted the Joe Burrow move just for the fact of the leadership capabilities. But Dalton and the Dallas situation, I just feel like Dalton's a better guy.
I agree 110. That's going to lose his job. He's going to get paid somewhere, but not at Dallas.
Yeah, so someone will pay him, and he'll make his money, and then he'll make his money somewhere on some small market team that's going to go 4-12 or 5-11, year after year, and then he's going to bang his head off the wall thinking, why the hell did I leave Dallas, and why didn't I take $28 million a year instead of begging for 35? So that Jerry Jones will give him $28 million, I guarantee you right now. But he's wanting to be the highest paid guy in the league, and and Jerry's not going to budge on it, obviously. Or
yeah, and Dallas, they went and they looked and saw Andy sitting there and thought, well, heck, we can get an experienced quarterback for a third the money a year, or less than a third the money,
Right.
So I think what did Andy get, like $7 million a year or something?
$3 million guaranteed. He can make up to $7 million with incentives.
Incentives, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big sign for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was as smart as drafting Zeke.
Right.
I think it's just as important.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos to them. Now, is the Bengals missing out by releasing him? Absolutely not. They're getting a great athlete. The Cowboys they're winning that.
Right. All right. Well, I don't mean to cut you guys off, but we're kind of running out of time on episode 1. We'll get this thing posted and we'll get it out. As always, Craig, aka Pepper, Ryan, never forget the sugar, ever.
Sugar.
I appreciate you guys coming on, and hopefully we'll get some views on this. I'm sure we will, and we'll get back at this real soon.
Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you guys.
You guys have a good one.
All right. See ya.